Now, my Persian princess, the future king of England, if we're just being royal, you deserve your appropriate title here in Barbamby, wonderful location in Melbourne. Mention our name, pay full price. Where this is about William, future king, having his issues with Harry and Meghan and the California obsession with therapy, okay? Now, the king in waiting believes that Harry and Meghan blindsided the family, even the Queen, with their public comments and their oh-so-California self-importance, an opinion he has repeatedly voiced in various ways to friends and aides during the past 2 years. Convinced Harry's been, quote, brainwashed by an army of therapists.
That is the most insightful thing in this entire book. It's quoting William, supposedly, but absolutely, when you hear Harry talk, you can hear those phrases and you can know he's been through a lot of therapy. And yes, for some people, therapy is very much necessary, but I think the great Jordan Peterson, a world-famous psychologist himself, says the more you obsess about yourself and think about yourself, the more miserable you are. And those of us who've seen Harry grow up,
correct,
he's gone from this happy-go-lucky, sunny disposition type of a dude to this miserable looking guy who's got the world. He's got his wife, he's got 2 healthy kids, he's got riches, he's got his independence, and yet he couldn't look more miserable.
What's the thing? He's sort of looking at scandals around the corner, trying to invent these things in order to have the victim narrative. And as you say about Dr. Peterson, you know, what's that term? Sort of paralysis by analysis, right? And it's, again, self-reflection's all good and important, but if it just becomes this cycle, down, 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 and we are where we are.
Well, and the therapy he's having doesn't seem to have any sort of personal responsibility angle to it. It's all about how I've been wronged by my family, by the media, by society. It's all about everyone's against him, and it's him and Meghan against the world. It's toxic.
Well, and guess what?
Red flags everywhere.
That is also California.
That is also California. William's on the money there, or whoever's inventing those quotes for him. Now, the book does also cover the passing of the Queen, naturally, and let's just have a look at what Omid has to say here. By the next morning, the Sussexes had no idea that Buckingham Palace was already planning for the Queen's final hours and the first days of the monarchy's new era, until the Duke's phone started ringing. An unknown number. He usually ignored those. You should answer it, Meghan told him. He tapped accept just before it stopped. Harry hadn't spoken to his father much that year, but this was not the time for any father and son tension. Charles told him he and Camilla were about to leave Dumfries House for Balmoral, where Princess Anne was already by the Queen's side. He told Harry to make his way to Scotland immediately. William, whom Charles had just spoken to, was supposedly working on arranging travel. Harry sent a text message to his brother asking how he and Kate planned to get to Scotland and whether they could travel together. No response.
Oh.
It's incredible that we've got direct quotes here from Meghan. We've got details like a private number popping up, right, unidentified. It's almost like Harry and Meghan are the sources behind this book. In fact, possibly the only sources behind this book.
How could you possibly say that? There are quotes from only one side of a conversation?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, this is... he's not even artful about covering up whose sources are here.
I think his assumption is if you've made it to page 204, you know who's really behind this book, that this is for the hard cause now.
So we've now moved to the Queen has passed away and Harry is furious. His team literally had to beg for them to wait for his plane to land, and they reluctantly agreed to hold the statement back for a little bit, confirmed a close family source. Yeah, Meghan. But as stormy weather over Aberdeen International forced Harry's plane to circle the airport numerous times before landing, patience at the Buckingham Palace press office wore thin. They could wait no longer, and the announcement went live at 6:30 p.m. When Harry's plane finally touched tarmac 20 minutes later, he received a text from Meghan urging him to call as soon as possible, followed by a breaking news alert via the BBC News app with the announcement of the Queen's death. Palace sources later briefed certain papers that Charles had personally shared the news with his younger son. But this was just a move to save face. Harry was crushed, said a friend of the Duke. That would be just Harry himself.
Yeah.
He has no friends. His relationship with the Queen was everything to him. She would have wanted him to know before it went out to the world. They could have waited just a little longer. It would have been nothing in the grand scheme of things, but no one respected that at all.
Okay.
I have certain thoughts here. You go first.
Okay. All right, a few things here. Nothing spreads faster than gossip, and nothing spreads faster than the news of the death of the Queen, all right? Now, the reality was, as loyal as the staff, and this was going to get out, okay? They held it for as long as they possibly could, but this idea that he's turning around saying, oh, well, it's what she would have wanted. Well, what she also would have wanted was for you not to shit-can the family all day, every day.
Hallelujah. Absolutely. And we're not just talking about his grandmother here. We're talking about the head of state, not of just Great Britain, but the head of state of the Commonwealth nations.
100%.
So her passing is a event that needs to be announced in a timely manner because she is the head of state. She is not just someone's grandmother.
100%.
That's just the reality there. If he wanted to be there sooner, he should have been there sooner. And again, the self-obsession here. The Queen has just passed away. The nation is mourning. People around the world were mourning. And all he can think about is, I found out via the BBC app or a text message from Meghan. I didn't get a phone call 20 minutes earlier. I mean, the self-obsession, the sense of entitlement this ginger has is out of bounds. No wonder he's miserable. Nothing can satisfy you if you're that entitled.
But also, we've all, sadly, lost grandparents over the years, all right? 9 times out of 10, it's not a shock. We know that it's coming, which means as soon as it starts to get close, you clear your schedule. It's not up to them.
Yeah.
It's up to you to be there for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Because if this is a central relationship to you, then you would say to your missus, look, can you take care of the kids for the next little while? I have to be here, and whether they like it or not, I'm going to turn up. But instead, he wants it both ways. He wants the complete separation to live in another country on the other side of the coast of that country, and the I must be by her bedside holding her hand in her dying breath.